Hey guys, it's Saturday, April 18th, 2020. Monday, I will be 6 weeks post-op from my double mastectomy with reconstruction. And I was diagnosed on February 14th of this year with early stage breast cancer, DCIS. So I wanted to just do a short video on how how my decision process went, because it is pretty scary once you're told you have breast cancer. Just maybe my little advice or tidbits that can help you make the right decision if you're facing that same decision between a lumpectomy and a mastectomy. First, I would want to say that I became my own advocate really fast because it's really, really scary when you're told that you have breast cancer. I needed to know what it was. I needed to know the risks. I needed to know, am I going to die? Can I recover from this? I had so much fear and I was so scared. So I had to figure out what I was dealing with. So I became, like I said, I became my own advocate, and I did all the research. I researched everything possible about DCIS. I researched everything possible about lumpectomies and mastectomies and treatment options. I also joined a couple groups of women, survivors, and women that are going through breast cancer now, or they have been before, so then I can look at other people's stories so I can make my own decision, because in the end, it's our own decision. It's the woman's decision. So I was looking at lumpectomy or mastectomy. Now, when I had my first visit with my oncologist, because I was my own advocate, I already knew what my treatment plan was going to be. I did find out with the DCIS I have the early stage breast cancer. I had, because I'm cancer free. I did find out with that is an aggressive form of breast cancer, and it moves pretty fast. So I found that out, and then I found out that the probability of that cancer coming back in the same breast or even the other breast within 3 years was super high. So I knew that right off the bat. With lumpectomy, yeah, it would have been a whole easier process, maybe, because you would have had they just go in, take the tumor out, then they give you some radiation treatments. So then, of course, when I found out the radiation treatments, then I had to do all my research on the radiation. Like, what does that do to you? What is the side effects? Blah, 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 blah. And literally for 3 weeks before my surgery, that's all I did. I was my own advocate, trying to deal with this, because it was the hardest thing that I ever had to deal with. So, with that being said, when I went into my oncologist, I already knew I was going to have a double mastectomy. And the reason why I knew that is I knew, well, God prepared me, and I'm a woman of faith. So God had prepared me that this is what was going to happen, and I had to accept it. So, with that being said, I like I said, I went into my oncologist appointment knowing that I was going to have the double mastectomy, and little things along the way just confirmed that I made the right decision. For one thing, when I went in with my oncologist and he explained to me, okay, so yeah, lumpectomy is your option. You can do that. Well, actually, there's 3 options. I could have, if I was a year older, if I was 50, I'm only 49, and so the insurance won't cover it. I could have done a lumpectomy with a targeted radiation, which I believe is safer or better. But that was all out the window, because I couldn't do that, because I'm not 50 yet. So the other one was a lumpectomy. And my doctor told me, okay, so if we do the lumpectomy, we're going to have to do a biopsy on the other mass that we have on the same breast. We'll have to do that biopsy first before we do the lumpectomy. Well, I didn't want to put myself through that again, because I know with the first biopsy that I did, it was overwhelming, and I passed out at the end of it once they got the needle out. So I definitely didn't want to do that. And keep in mind, when he told me that, I already knew, because God already shared with me. And then after all my research, that this was going to be the double mastectomy. So then my doctor did his job. He gave me all my options, and of course the double mastectomy. And I told him, definitely, I've got to do the double mastectomy. I don't have a choice. Which I did have a choice, but when I'm thinking about it now, I don't want to live my life in fear. I didn't want to keep thinking, is this cancer going to come back within 3 years? Because DCIS, the form that I had, the early stage form, it isn't aggressive, and it can come back within 3 years or even before that. I didn't want to have my skin burned either. So with that, I was like, I've got to do the double mastectomy. I have to do it. I don't have a choice, and I want to live. So I weighed it all out, and I told the doctor, I was like, hey, I've got to do the double mastectomy. So now we'll fast forward to past after my surgery. 2 days after my surgery, I get a call from my doctor, and he let me know that I am completely cancer-free, and all my margins were clean. Which that was amazing. He said no chemo, no radiation, nothing. So I'm like, yay! That was a glorious day. Then he also told me that my risk, the mutant gene, the risk test that he did when I was first in his office, because he automatically wanted to do that, he did tell me that I did test positive for a mutant gene called CHEK2, which is very rare, but it actually elevated my chances for breast cancer by 70%. 70%. So with that being said, I was giving God all the glory, because I knew I made the right decision. I knew I heard God, and I knew that this was what I was supposed to do. So this is after the mastectomy, the double mastectomy, and I find out I have this mutant gene, CHEK2, which escalates my chances tremendously. So I just wanted to definitely put this out here, because it is so important to be your own advocate when making a decision. One thing I found as I'm going through all of this is that every woman has a different journey. It's a different process. Every woman is different. Their experience is completely different. So I don't want you to think that this is what it's going to be, because this is how I dealt with it and how I made the right decision. But I think the main thing to take from this video would be to be your own advocate. Do the research, the type of cancer that you have. Make sure you do the risk test, because when you think of it, like, what if I did choose the lumpectomy, and then I get this test back? Here I am with radiation. I get this test back, and I have a 70% chance of getting it coming back. So definitely you want to do your research. And most of the oncologists, if you have breast cancer in your family, they're going to do that test anyway. So definitely If your doctor doesn't offer it, ask for it, because it's important to know if you have any mutant genes in your body, because that makes a difference on your decision. So I'm just thankful that I did make the right decision, and I was my own advocate. Just keep in mind when you're doing research and listening to YouTube videos, because there were so many. I found so many videos from so many women that helped me so much, because it was real. They gave me the real experience on what they were going through. But just make sure that when you're looking up information that it is a reputable website, and that it's facts, facts about breast cancer. So that's pretty much what I had today. I just wanted to tell you that's how I made my decision. And I'm very thankful to God and to my wonderful doctors, because I'm making it. I'm getting through this. But these videos are helping me as I go through my healing. I'm healing physically, and I'm trying to start this emotional healing too. So there'll be more videos. I'm breaking it up into little pieces so I can start talking about what I went through. So like I said, it's April 18th, 2020. So we all know we're in the middle of a pandemic right now. So I just want to make sure you are staying safe, staying well, do your social distancing, wear your mask if you go around other people, and stay well. Thanks.